You can't hear it, but we're getting a little techno up in here.
Are we?
Yeah, we are.
Is Art slowly peeling my shirt off?
They put it back on, but what kind of dance move was that? It started off, you were like, like what were you, on a typewriter when the beat hit, and then you just decided to start dancing?
You know, it's funny you should say that. There was this great guy on the sidewalk the other day. Like, he had a typewriter, and you give him one word, and he writes a poem, and he gives it to you. I didn't give him any money because he looked like a dope addict. But
well, you should have gave him money for his talent.
He was sitting out there on the sidewalk with a typewriter. But no,
we apologize for this podcast being a day late. Somebody was off partying for his birthday, and unlike the bachelor party I was at, I'm sure there was lots of blowing hookers, right?
I saw one prostitute. No cocaine. No cocaine. Not this time.
Oh, we've had a busy weekend. JP was off celebrating his birthday, and I was celebrating the union between two friends, and I think we're both just kind of recovering from the weekend.
Yeah, I definitely need an extra day just to,
I need
get my head screwed back on. Right? Yeah.
Being in a wedding is a long, grueling process. I mean, I can't imagine what it's like for the people that are actually getting married. Right. But just to be in the bridal party is stressful enough. I can't imagine. But episode 3, and I'm going to so for those of you that don't like the show, number one, I don't know why you're still following the podcast, but we really appreciate it. But you're going to hate what I got to say. But I love this season. I love this episode. There's so many things at play. It's like you and I were just discussing before we even got on the microphone. This is what you get when you realize it doesn't have to be all action-based. And like it's like now they've realized, wait a minute, we can do a good show, and it can have a lot more dialogue as long as the dialogue has some depth to it and the storylines actually are interesting.
Yeah. Interesting writing. That definitely makes for a good show. It does. It is night and day compared to the last few seasons.
And don't get me wrong, both 7 and 8 had things that I like, so I'm not at all saying that I didn't like them. But in my opinion, this is already starting off to be way better than the last two. It's like you said, it's almost like you're watching a different show.
Yeah, it's very dark, and not that it hasn't been dark in the past, but
definitely getting well. And before we go forward, again, spoilers for the show. Maybe a few comic spoilers. I always try to give you a little warning beforehand so you can like plug your ears or just skip forward a few seconds. But going forward, no more warnings. We're going to spoil the hell out of this episode because there's a lot to cover. And I didn't take notes, so we're probably going to be all over the place.
Yeah,
but so forgive us. But so, what were your thoughts? You already know that I love this episode. How did you feel about it? Just kind of general overview.
I knew I was going to love it from the first 5 minutes. I mean, Rick getting that morning butt. I was like, yeah, this is going to be good. I'm liking it.
Anytime there's morning delight, you're going to love it, right?
Yeah, and he's straight up talking about impregnating Michonne, from what I could understand. Mm-hmm. He wants to spill that batter, make some waffles.
I was wondering where that was going. Were you trying to reference Abraham?
I was trying to remember how
season
he said
6.
it in the. Yeah, if I could, I messed it up.
Yeah, but hey, you tried. Speaking of which, we got a name drop shout out for Glenn, Abraham, Sasha.
Oh yeah, we did. We sure did.
See, that's why I think that if they could, I mean, there's a lot I'm sure they would change if they could go back in time with this show. But one thing is, it's kind of like Matt said about the Glenn Dumpster thing. When they faked Glenn's death, I think what they were going for is like, oh, we'll make them think Glenn's safe. There's no way we'd kill him. And then we'll kill him and it'll shock them. And what they should have not done was fake that death because it lessened the impact of Glenn's death. We already had that initial, holy shit, did Glenn just die? And it's kind of that way for me with Daryl and Rick's beef. Like, I thought last season's Rick and Daryl beef was whatever. I really wasn't a big fan of it, but whatever. This season, number one, you've heard me, if you've been a long-time listener, know that for the last few seasons, I've not really cared much for Daryl. I'm really digging Daryl's character this season. I understand why he's doing and, acting the way he is. I get it. And like this Rick-Daryl beef, I feel is a lot more organic. It's a lot more, you know what I mean? Like it makes a lot more sense. Not that the last one, I get Daryl wanted to end it, but I feel like writing-wise, they should have just left that out, had them be a team, and then this would have had so much more of an impact of, holy crap, Daryl and Rick really are growing apart, and I understand why Daryl feels the way he feels. This is a much better written beef than just Daryl wants to end it quick, Rick's playing the long game.
Yeah, there's some big, serious ideological differences here. But, one thing that, Daryl keeps sort of... he keeps sort of alluding to the fact that he doesn't want to work with the Saviors, no Savior. But, he hasn't, straight up told Rick what he wants to do. I wish Rick would just be like, so what do you want to do, Daryl?
What is it you want,
Yeah,
Daryl?
Are we just going to murder every single person left at the sanctuary? Is that what
do you want? It ain't that simple. Or it's not that simple.
That's what he needs to straight up make Daryl say it. Like, all right, Daryl, so what are we doing then?
Right. Okay, you don't want to be with the Saviors. Cool, got it. What do you want to do? Where should I put you? You know what I mean? What would you? Which I get it. Again, this beef and this feud or growing rift, I guess we should say, makes a lot. I agreed with Daryl to an extent when he's like, what about Glenn? What about Abraham? What about Sasha? Well, you ever thought about what they would want? But then again, if you think back on Glenn probably would want exactly what's happening right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is what Glenn would want. So Abraham would just be like, kill all those bastards and move on.
Yeah, probably so.
Sasha would have probably been right there with Abraham because she was a hard ass too. It's if you're a threat, eliminate and move on. But, as far as Glenn, this is probably exactly what Glenn would want.
Yeah, man.
But, man, let's skip ahead to probably the part everybody's thinking and talking about the most, or at least maybe it's just me, but Jadis. Some revelation with Jadis/Ann. So we've got these people in helicopters, and she's been trading people for supplies and things like that. Number one, my first thought is this explains where Heath is gone.
I forgot all about Heath.
When I saw that scene, I was like, so that's probably where Heath's gone. And if you think about it, A's and B's. We've seen A's and B's all over the place. Even one place that I think was purely coincidence for Alexandria. But remember, Daryl had an A on his jumpsuit, which, again, I think that was for Alexandria. But, when they put Rick in the container, there was an A on that container. And I think you and I were thinking the same because I watched it Sunday and then you were rewatching it a few minutes ago and I kind of sat in on the last half. I'm thinking Commonwealth.
Yeah, that's the clear assumption there.
My thoughts, and I haven't really read much, so if somebody's come out and already cleared this up, please clear it up for me in the comments section and destroy while I feel like I'm on a roll. But I feel like Alpha and Beta, and I feel like what they're doing, of course, there could be some parallel to the Whisperers, but I feel like they're shipping people off to the Commonwealth. They want alphas because they groom them to be leaders, and and if you don't know what the Commonwealth is, comic spoiler. It won't last too long, but you might want to just jump ahead a little bit. But the Commonwealth is a place that's been going on, about a year or so in the comics?
Yeah.
Because you got to remember, It comes out month to month. So even though it feels like, it's only like 10 issues, that's almost a year. So it's been going on for almost a year, or at a year at least. The Commonwealth is a place with about 50,000 people where civilization is much closer to what it once was than places like Alexandria and the Hilltop and the Oceanside and things like that.
Yeah.
So my thought is they're not shipping people off like to be eaten or tortured. They're shipping people off because betas, they need workers, just kind of mindless followers. And if you know, the Commonwealth follows a very traditional cliche kind of hierarchy. You have your elites, and then you just have your common folk who are given jobs and they do their jobs and to hell with them. So I think that's what's happening. And I think and that explains Negan. Remember when she wasn't calling in the helicopter. Well, she might have been calling it in for extraction, but she was going to give Negan to these people as an alpha. Remember when she had him tied up and rolled him around? One of my favorite Negan lines in the whole thing, what the shit? No, actually, what the shit? Hey, she was calling in the helicopter. They were going to come take Negan, and I'm guessing, by the way, she kind of was not packed up, but it looked like maybe she wanted to hop a ride too. But it looks like Jadis could be from the Commonwealth and kind of maybe created her own outpost as a way to, get people for this. Because the way she was describing it to Gabriel, we could have a life you couldn't imagine. And yada, yada, yada. That's where my head is. I've ranted too long. JP, where's your head?
No, that makes a lot of sense. We're basically looking at a human trafficking situation, essentially.
Yeah.
But good, God bless the alphas. At least they got something to look forward to if they get snatched up.
Poor Gabraham. Gabriel.
I was going to say,
poor Gabriel, man. It's early. Poor Gabriel, man. He gets him some butt, and then that butt it traffics him.
Yeah, just pops him on the side of the head, and he goes down.
It's like you and I were talking about. I'm waiting for that moment when somebody gets popped in the side of the head with a gun and is and doesn't instantly knock them out for a whole day. They're just like, ow! Why would you do that? Yeah. Jesus Christ. Am I bleeding? I feel like I'm bleeding. Because, I read that one of the tropes, among many that shows and TV gets wrong is that if you pop somebody on the head hard enough that they are unconscious for hours and hours, pretty good chance there's some brain damage there. So either they're going to die or be, a little bit mentally handy, like mentally disabled from there on in some way, shape, or form. But, for me, that was the biggest part of this episode because we got some takeaway. We got some answers somewhat with JADIS, though I'm sure someone would argue another part everybody's talking about is moving to the killer. It was finally revealed, and most of you said, I think we were pretty divided in our comment section. Half of you thought Henry, which we started thinking Henry at one point. Then half of you thought, I was really adamant about the Whisperers. I'm still kind of bummed that it wasn't them, but this makes a lot more sense and created some great drama.
I think we've all got Whisperer fever right now.
We do. We're just looking. Yeah. Rick looks behind him one episode. You're like, Whisperers. Rick was looking at the Whisperers. Yeah. But we find out it's Oceanside, which is what a lot of you were saying, too. So good job on that.
That was my last pick, man.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was going to be them, but it was.
And, I mean, great. I mean, like, I loved it. I just loved that whole scene. It was some dark, powerful stuff, man. Like when she said, no exceptions, and Maggie's just kind of like, ain't no going back from that. And her and Daryl just walk off while they kill a rat. I mean, that was rough, man.
Yeah, man. Apparently, they're just going back to kind of jungle law, kill and be killed or I don't know. But, I mean, they're not into reform or anything, that's for sure.
Your whodunit that you called
Wild West style.
You called a whodunit. It didn't last like you said. You were hoping and thinking maybe it would last like all season. It only lasted an episode. But nonetheless, kudos for calling a whodunit. And then you also called that Maggie started something, which is why in our video where we talk about how Maggie will leave, we both agree that she's going to go with Georgie, and it's not really hard to see. I mean, we heard, that Georgie has been trying to get Maggie to go with her and yada, 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 episode before this one. So it's not hard to draw that parallel, but it's the why she will go with Georgie. And I think you were the one that said that you think that she started something when she killed Gregory, and it's kind of one of those, what did I do? Right. Maybe I need to, kind of like you said, like a rehab type thing. Kind of she needs to go and get a different worldview or something because she realizes that this is leading them right back to where they were trying to come back from.
She's definitely going down a dark path. I mean, if there was ever a need for Morgan's sweet words of wisdom,
which we still hear,
yeah,
we still hear every life matters. Oh, they said matters, right? Every life counts, or
something like.
It wasn't every life is precious. I feel like that would have been a little sappy in the moment. Yeah. Why don't you just finish me off? Every life is precious. Now get your ass up. But yeah, it was, and I'm going to tell you, homeboy with the Saviors just wants to die, don't he? When they stepped out in front of Maggie, I'm like, oh my God, these people are brave.
Not to mention the guy sitting next to her. At first, I thought it was like an alternate timeline where Glenn survived and grew a mustache. I was like, what's going on here?
I mean, like. What are you thinking? I mean, you're making threatening gestures, and I know some in the group like a rat. Poor rat. I mean, I don't feel bad for her because she's was right there, just as evil as Negan and them. But I mean, I think she understood that what she had done was wrong and was trying to stop the growing rift between the Saviors and them. And it could have just been I'm just trying to keep myself alive type thing. But she was playing ball, and it didn't matter in the end.
I definitely think Daryl could have got some butt if he saved her. I don't know what he was thinking. I don't think
Daryl's interested in any kind of sex at all.
I guess not. He's just interested in revenge.
Here's my
bloodthirsty.
Somewhat of a comic spoiler, but this isn't a big one. I mean, if this kind of thing ruins the comic for you, then you might not, But so there is I feel like the chick that has the short hair that's kind of slicked back, you know what I mean? She's got the, but kind of like how I cut my hair. It's shaved on the sides, and then she could be taking the place of either like Sherry in the comics or Dwight. As we've seen, Daryl's kind of moved into Dwight's role in the comic. After the all-out war, Dwight was leading the Saviors, and he didn't like leading the Saviors, and yada. And Daryl that kind of moved Daryl into that role, and he, Dwight had a love interest with Sherry. Now he's with a chick that looks a lot like this short-haired chick. Yeah. And I wonder if that's whose role that's going to take. So we might actually have some Daryl romance. Maybe this girl will be Daryl's first. I mean, and he's so adamant about not wanting to work with the saviors. How ironic that he would end up, getting butt from a savior, as you so graciously put it.
Yeah, it could definitely warm his bloodthirsty heart, and that would be nice. But
kudos. I thought you were going somewhere. I thought that you were going somewhere way, way worse with that.
I thought about it, but then I was like, it's a Tuesday morning. It's not Monday. I'm still not riding that weekend high. So, let's
let's calm it down. No, but I'm digging this season. I really am. I've seen some people not happy with it. And if you're not happy with it, hey, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. You like what you like, and you don't like what you don't like. But I'm being I saw somebody in one comment said that we were getting paid by AMC to still promote this terrible show. I'm like, dude, I wish we were getting paid. Yeah. Jeez, we could give you way higher quality podcasts if we were getting paid. But no, nobody is paying us. I'm a fan of the show, man. Like I try to be optimistic with it. When it has lulls, I don't mind admitting. I mean, if you go back through some other seasons, there were times when I was like, just won't fill in this episode. Thought it kind of sucked. If I don't like it, I don't like it. So I think with JP and I both, I can promise you that if we say we like it, we just genuinely like it.
Yeah, and just this like dark character development. I mean, when Maggie said, we tried Rick's way, it didn't work. It's time to do it our way. I mean, again, what is your, what's your end goal?
Like,
I mean,
what are you trying to do?
Because from what the Seaside lady said, was that Negan's last lieutenant? They gunned down?
They said that was the last one. I guess that was the last in what they consider to be the saviors that caused the most damage, more so than just following orders. Because, I mean, of course, a rat was like, Simon would have killed me, but it's like she said, no, you didn't just kill him. You smiled while you did it. You made him beg for his life. You said, no exceptions. So it's not so much that you did what you did following orders. It's the fact that you relished in it. Like, you look like you enjoyed it. And I think that was what they were trying to do, was kill off Negan's, some of his biggest people. Yeah, it's pretty cold, man. Killing, what they say, 11-year-old. Yeah, well, and you and I have said it. Like back when we first met Oceanside, when we were talking about how they said that the saviors rolled in and killed every male above the age of 10, and we were like, that doesn't sound like Negan though. Mm-hmm. Negan's real big on people or a resource, and Negan rolls in, kills one or two, and rolls out. I mean, it's just to show you he means business, but he wants you to work for him. And so we said a while back, we said to other podcasts, but we said a while back, that sounds like Simon, and we actually got confirmation. Then yes, that was. Yep. And if they gave it earlier, excuse me for not remembering, but it was Simon, and that fits Simon's MO perfectly. He's a psychopath, and he just wants to wipe people out when they don't, get in line. Oh, apparently that's the boat Maggie and Daryl are getting on. Because, I mean, what other end goal could they be reaching for than just, murdering what's left of the saviors? I mean, but see, the thing is, I know you said that a guy you work with says that he thinks that that's how Rick's going to die, is that Rick's going to, like Maggie or Daryl's going to end up killing him, be it on purpose. I don't think that they would intentionally kill Rick to get to Negan. I don't think their hate for Negan trumps, they don't agree with Rick and they don't respect his decision, but I don't think that they'd be willing to end his life. Yeah. But there's going to be repercussions. If you go in there and kill Negan, that your friendship with Rick, you've shattered it. Like, it's done. Mm-hmm. That's just straight up. I don't want to say anarchy, but it's straight up insubordination. So, I mean, they know it's going to cause friction, but I don't think that they would be willing to, not at this point. I mean, it would take like a season of beef, I feel, for them to get to that point where they're just like, we're going to kill Rick. I just don't see that. I've thought the whole time Rick was going to die, and he still probably is going to die. But with this new helicopter thing and the people, do you think this maybe will somehow give him a way to leave without dying? Yeah, Jadis might just trade him off. I mean, maybe that's what she's going to trade Gabriel, I guess, but maybe he won't be good enough because she's like, I always thought you were a B. But once they go to capture him and he's like whining and stuff, they're going to be like, this isn't an A? What is this? This is barely a B. I'd give him like a C. Why is he whining so much? Brought us a one-eyed crybaby. Get out of here with that. So maybe that's what it'll be, Jadis. But I mean, I don't think it'll be that mysterious, though, because they wouldn't leave it on such a cliffhanger, I don't feel, with promoting This Is Rick Grimes' final season. So, I mean, if he goes off, it's going to have to be some understanding, like, I don't know. We're going to have to understand why he's leaving, because if they leave it on a cliffhanger, then that's just bad news for the show.
Off, yeah.
So maybe it'll be Jadis finally comes clean and explains to Rick what's going on, and Rick decides to go with the growing. I don't know. I've got a million theories, and they're all trying to come out of my mouth at the same time. I'd have to sit down and. But I mean, I still think he's going to die, but I could see maybe this opens up the possibility that he's not going to die.
Time will tell. It'd be nice if, he was still among the living, but I think they're going to have just a really powerful episode where,
I've had to really prepare myself for this.
It's going to be rough, man.
I don't get emotional watching TV and shows, but this is Rick Grimes, 9 seasons, like one of my favorite characters in any show ever, man. I'm just not ready to see old Rick bite the dust.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to keep a friend for 9 years, so, this character's been a part of our lives. It's difficult.
We're going on like 4, man, and I'm telling you, it's getting stretched kind of thin.
Yeah, no, I was going to say.
Kind of fed up with your shit.
Well, if you don't like it, you better learn to love it.
Oh, man. But I'm trying to think what else. I mean, of course, there's a lot happening this episode, but I think we hit most of the highlights. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that. I really like Gabriel, by the way. Let me just say, I was joking. I agree. He's definitely not an A, but I like Gabriel. I think his characters went through some cool progression. I mean, you notice when Rick said, I need somebody I trust watching her, which is a strong statement considering where they were back in season, 7? Or no, was it season 6? When they showed up it was season 6, yeah, because Deanna the husband hadn't been killed and all of that.
Oh, right.
So, yeah, like season 6, when they showed up to Alexandria, I mean, and Gabriel tried to tell Deanna, like, these are bad people, you need to kick them out. I mean, so that's coming a long ways for Rick to be able to look at Gabriel and say, I need someone I trust watching her.
Even still, though, Gabriel's got his new girlfriend for like 1 day. He's already lying to his buddy.
Mm-hmm.
What's that about, Gabriel?
And people need to learn to strategize in this show. When Gabriel, like, what I would have said was, if I was going to tell Rick, okay,
yeah,
I'll go with you. I gotta go get my Bible. I left it there, and it's really special to me. So how about let me run back and grab that, and then I'm gonna meet you. Not I'm gonna have to tell Rick. Like, screw that. You start using your brain, man.
Yeah.
Now because you didn't use it, it's probably bleeding.
Yeah, man. She popped him good.
I mean, like, just think, man. I mean,
frogged
it's just,
him right there in the temple.
You obviously know she's not honest, so no one can try to be like, oh, he's trying to be honest to the woman he loves. Number one blowjob, which they might have had more. I don't know. It could have been more than that, but I don't know that necessarily equivalates to love at this point. It's like you just got you some booty. I feel you. You're happy, but I mean, to hell with honesty. She hadn't been honest to you, so I would be like, okay, yeah, we're gonna go where you're talking about. I have to go get some stuff. And I'll be back, or you can come with me, whatever. But I got to get something. I would have made some excuse to get my ass back to Rick to be like, so look, if you arrest her, let's please instate conjugal visits are still allowed. But
it's like, I don't mind if Negan watches.
Right, but we need to get her because there's something afoot here.
Ooh.
But yeah, I thought it was a great episode. I dare say one of the best this season so far, just because it was so much happening. I never felt bored because I like that we're going between storylines, man. Please, writers of The Walking Dead who are apparently paying us, hopefully they're listening. Please keep doing that. Keep showing us different storylines. It keeps it interesting. And if there's a lull or a boring part of a storyline you have to get through to get to another place, it's fine because you don't have to spend a whole episode on it. You can give us 5-10 minutes of that, and then about time we slightly start getting bored, bam, you're off to something more interesting. I just love it. Keep that up.
I think the change in leadership over there, you can definitely tell,
Oh, yeah.
Definitely tell. It's. I wish they had done this like 3 seasons ago.
Yeah, once Scott Gimple, man, I don't know. I think the majority of Walking Dead fans that we've talked to and heard from just not a big fan of when he's in charge.
Yeah,
a lot of stuff he does though. You could just be like, why would you make that? Why would you do that? I mean, going back even to like the cliffhanger. We waited all season. Who's Negan gonna kill? Who's Negan gonna kill? And then we had to wait a whole summer, like 7 months to find out. I mean, that was just a stupid decision, man. I think it's like Matt said. It's like you don't trust your own viewers. Mm-hmm. Like, we love the show. If you would have ended it with Abe and Glenn dying, I would have been, ended it right there. I would have been back just as excited and ready to watch for the next season as I would have not knowing. And, a cliffhanger was stupid. It's like, well, we're going to make sure everyone tunes in. And they did get a lot of viewers, but it was it really worth the viewers that you lost, basically, because of it? They tuned in just to see who died, and after that, they were like, I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, you can only, piss people off so much before they just abandon ship.
Yeah, I feel like this season they are, I don't know, it's kind of like we've said before, like, off mic, but it's like they were like a game of chess. Scott Gimple was just like smacking your pieces out the way, going, checkmate, just to get there. Whereas these 3 episodes, it feels much more like someone's playing chess and they're kind of sitting back and they're lining everything up so that when they do deliver the kill shot, it all lines up perfectly. And it's just the way I'm kind of looking at it.
Yeah, it's just the question is now, are viewers willing to come back? The ones that left during the Gimple years, is the damage
some will
done?
never come back. Some people are at the point where once they decide they don't like something, they're never going to change their mind. And I mean, that's them. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but there are people out there who would like this if they gave it a chance. But being they've already said, no, I don't like that show, I'm not watching it anymore, they're going to stick to their guns. I've got a friend that did that, just quit watching it and just refuse. I'm like, dude, it's getting so good, though. And it's like, just, every show has a lull. Most, I'm sure there are a few out there, but I feel like Breaking Bad, that's debatable, I know. But that kind of, to me, was just great, though, from beginning to end. I never really felt bored with that. But, Sons of Anarchy, I love that show, but in my opinion, season 3 was kind of slow and a little boring. But the rest of the show was phenomenal. It just, so I mean, sometimes shows hit those points, but I don't know. I'm digging, man. I don't think that it'll ever be the same without Rick Grimes. So before you go blast me in the comments section about that, I am not saying that it'll ever be Rick Grimes great. But if the writing stays the way it is right now, a Rickless Walking Dead might be manageable, because they really are. I mean, think about how much of this episode did not involve on-screen Rick per se. I mean, he might have been tied to it in some way, shape, or form, but I mean, the JADIS'S thing, I mean, that's an entirely different storyline. You're following Gabriel and JADIS'S, and then you had, Daryl and Maggie, which Maggie's going to, so... But I mean, yeah, now again, I'm not saying that it's going to be just as good without Rick, but I'm saying that if this writing keeps up the way it is, they could get another couple of seasons. I mean, and they claim they're going to get many more seasons. And I don't know about all that, but with this, I feel like, Yeah,
if they keep going the way they're going and the damage isn't already too extensive from Gimple, just jerking the viewership around, I could see this being a renaissance for The Walking Dead, a real renaissance.
Even more so. Some people, and when they, quote, jump the shark is debatable depending on who you talk to. I don't even think it was the Glenn death. I do think it was stupid that they faked Glenn's death. I don't know if they wanted, I'm guessing from a writing standpoint, they wanted to create some kind of false sense of security. I don't know, but it was a really stupid move. The numbers speak for themselves, but I think where they screwed up, I still think killing Carl was a stupid move, or at least, like you said, killing him the way they did. I think that killing Carl, and we know it wasn't because Chandler Riggs wanted to leave or anything. It's different if you say, oh, well, the actor wanted to. No, he didn't want to leave. He had just signed on to be on for a few more years. And I finally got to where I really liked Carl. I put it on my Snapchat a couple of weeks ago when I was kind of rewatching the last season. One of my favorite scenes in The Walking Dead, period, is the scene with Negan and Carl, where Carl is up on the wall and he's, telling Negan, if somebody has to die, kill me, and he's like, is this who you wanted to be? That gives me goosebumps. That whole dialogue there is fantastic. And then you kill him. I just think that was a stupid move. Honestly, as much I love Morgan. If you listen to Fear the Walking Dead podcast that we do, you know that I love Morgan. I love Lenny James. I don't want to see Morgan go anywhere, but it would have made a lot more sense based on the storyline they were doing with Morgan, on Morgan's whole all life is precious and we need to fight for a better future. And Morgan was the guy who saved Rick when he didn't have to. It would have made a lot more sense for Morgan to die at the end of last season or at some point last season, and for Rick's fight for the future to have been in honor of Morgan, the guy who gave him a chance. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that's my feelings on that. I don't feel like you had to kill Carl in order for Rick to fight so fiercely for this. I mean, like I said, Morgan is Rick would have been eaten by that walker on the side of the road if it wasn't for Morgan in episode 1. Morgan gave him shelter, told him what was going on. I mean, they have a connection. And even though he was gone a large portion of the show, they still have that connection. And it's like, I just feel like Morgan could have been the one to have stuck by the whole life is precious, yada, yada, yada. And then Morgan dies because Morgan built the jail cell that Negan's in. Yep. So it would have made perfect sense that in honor of Morgan and his philosophy and all of that, we keep the guy that was responsible for his death in the jail cell that he built with the promise of a new future to everyone else in honor of Morgan. That's where it should have went. You don't have to agree, but that's what I think.
I would love to see like a series set in the future where Alexandria has become like a penitentiary, and it's the Morgan Jones Penitentiary. And it's basically like a post-apocalyptic Oz. Right. I think that'd be a really good.
At this point, though, it'd probably be the Carl Grimes Penitentiary.
Well, Carl was more for the corporal punishment, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
but because
Carl just kind of started this philosophy like. That season. This was the guy, and I get their writing, and he felt really bad for killing that kid in season 3. Oh, I get all of that, but the thing is, it's like Carl. He's been written up to the point when Scott Gimple, I guess, decided he didn't need to be like this hard ass kid who would do what he had to do. He was a badass, and then it's just like, for the sake of this, we're just gonna kill Carl off. And so I know I'm ranting on past things we can't change, but that's my opinion. Carl should still be alive. We should still get the Carl and Lydia storyline from the comics. I don't care if they play it exactly by the book, but if you're setting up for the Whisperers, which you are, Carl needs to be the catalyst with Lydia to get it going. But the writing this season's stellar, so I have no doubt that they won't be able to set up some kind of dispute with the Whisperers that'll make sense. So, sorry, I got a little ranted, and I just need to get that off my chest. I still finally had gotten to where a season or 2 before that I was like, okay, I like Carl, because I really disliked him for a while. I know he's a kid, and I've heard every excuse of why I should like Carl, and I didn't. I was like, he's a little brat, man.
Yeah, he was pretty snotty.
And then the last season or 2, he really came around and started growing. I think the moment of clarity for me of when I liked Carl was the scene in the church with the termites. I guess that's what we call them, the terminus people. When, Carl was protecting Judith, and then Carl gets his gun and, cocks it and is just kind of waiting. I was like, Carl's a little badass, man.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
So from that point forward, I started liking him. So I still think that's something I'm hoping the new direction, or Angela Kang, who, in my opinion, has done a phenomenal job just in 3 episodes, will be able to work damage control and, fix that. But yeah, I'm trying to think. Anything else from this episode that we really need to...
I think we covered it in gravy, pal.
I'm trying to think. I want to make sure there's nothing we're not leaving out here. Of course, Carol totally shocked me when she just stabbed Homeboy in the shoulder and didn't kill him. I definitely thought that knife was going in dude's throat.
Yeah. When
Rick was walking with her and it was like, pair up with someone you trust. And you just expect him to look at Carol and be like, all right, Carol, we've been through this before. It's you, right? We remember the prison when you were, you killed 2 people and burned them to save everyone else. Is that what you're doing now? You're killing saviors that you think are a threat? But
oh man, I forgot all about that.
I was totally shocked that she stabbed him in the arm and was like, all life is not precious, but whatever she said. All life is whatever she said. Sorry, I said it earlier. Now I'm drawing a blank. It's early. Forgive me.
It was a poignant thing she said, and I think we can leave it at that.
Right.
It was a beautiful thing.
All life matters, or all life counts, or something. But yeah, so let's put our hands under the table and rate this episode.
All right.
All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. Bam.
What did you get?
What? We had never. No, we did. I think we were on the same page one episode. So you gave it 4. I gave this one 5, just because I really like this episode. I've really liked both episodes, but this one just had so many twists and turns, and we got answers. We got 2 different answers this episode.
A lot of revelations, yeah. It was a good episode, man. Solid episode.
Yeah, we learned, and like I said, keep in mind it's a 1 to 5 scale, and I don't give 5 stars often.
I
think I did give one the first episode, but that's just because I was so happy with it. But yeah, so really digging this episode. Of course, as we always ask, please let us know your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about that's the whole reason we do this podcast, not to be the authority, not to be the experts, because we certainly are not.
We want to start a conversation.
We've got to, exactly.
Yeah, talk to us.
We got enough going on in our personal lives right now. I wish AMC would pay us to talk about this. Then
Please, AMC.
We'd know every name and every. I mean, I would study this show like I've been studying up for the World Series.
Oh yeah, I'll suck
Boston.
Chris Hardwick's toes.
No, I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just
toes.
You do you, brother. Whatever gets you there, I guess. But yeah, so I'm really excited to see where this is going to go. I really want to hear your opinions. Please leave it in the comments section. Again, let's get a conversation going. If there's something we said wrong or something that we didn't think of,
more than likely.
Yeah, tell us. Like, I mean, half of what we've. I don't want to say predicted, but half of the parallels you guys have made us aware of it. You know what I mean? Like in the comments section, we're like, oh, this person said that. You know, oh, we didn't even think of that. So please comment, let us know what you think, and make sure to subscribe for more Walking Dead content. And I promise, now that JP's wild and crazy birthday weekend is over with, I can assure you we will be playing the Walking Dead video games and doing some commentating while we play them.
We'll do it.
Have you seen the comments? Have you been... Have you?
Oh yeah,
you've had lots of people telling you that
crazy
it's going to happen. Yeah. So, and if you, like we said in past podcasts, if you don't play video games, still check those videos out when we post them, because this is a story-driven video game. It's like a choose-your-own-adventure type deal. You don't really fight, more so as you make decisions, and there's great storytelling. I've played, like I said, the first 2 in the Michonne story. I haven't played 3 or the new season, but we're going to get to that. But so yeah, lots of fun stuff coming up. So we will catch you. Well, hopefully we'll catch you at some point. Last week we put out 4 podcasts.
4 podcasts.
In 1 week.
That's an all-time high.
So as things develop and theories arise and things like that, I'm sure we'll have another podcast or 2. Yeah. But until we see you again, we'll see you again.
I hope so.
I'm Justin.
And I'm JP.
And we're the Podcasting Dead.
Yep.